Hey y'all, welcome back to the Skookum Report. I'm Bob, and tonight's Bigfoot encounter is called Terror in the Night. And this comes from Bobby Short's material. Once again, I want to thank her friends and family for allowing me to share everything that she worked so hard on, and this is in her memory. And this gentleman writes, I have a story to share with you. Years ago when I was a teenager, and this was way before everybody had a cell phone in their hand, I used to live at a place about 13 miles outside of Meridian, Mississippi. Now there is nothing there but hunting and fishing. There's lots of creeks, rivers, ponds, small lakes, woods, and old logging roads that just go on for miles and miles. Some relatives of mine owned a great deal of land close to where I lived, and on their land was an old logging road that went to a creek called Tallahatta. It is a long and winding creek. This creek in some places is as wide as most rivers, but it's always shallow until it rains. And on my relative's property close to this creek, they had built a simple one-room cabin for camping. It was built high on 5-foot telephone poles for when the creek flooded out. That way it would be above the water. I had camped there many a time, but one fall night when I went camping there, and this was the last time I ever went camping there, I went with some friends. There were 4 of us. We had been wade fishing all day, and we had planned to stay there for the night. So we fished till dark, and we went back to the cabin, and we made a simple fire, and we hung out and drank whiskey that we had borrowed, and we cleaned lots of fish. We did that till about 11 p.m. And then we all went into the cabin for the night, and we lit up a couple of Coleman lanterns, and we got a good fire going in the wood heater, and we laid down for the night. The next thing I knew, I woke up to some noise in the cabin, and I looked while rubbing my eyes to see one of my friends almost jogging through the cabin from the door to his bed. And I guess I was the last to wake up, and I asked, "What are y'all doing?" And they said all at once, "There's something out there." I rolled my eyes and turned away and laid back down, and I said, "There's nothing out there. Y'all go back to sleep." Just as I finished saying that, I heard the noise. It sounded like limbs breaking in a short distance away. And one of my friends yelled, "What the hell is that?" Another replied he didn't know. So let's just stay awake now. I got up and tried to listen better, and I could hear it. When I put my ear to the wall, I could hear what sounded like something hitting on trees and walking heavily through the woods right next to us. I started to think what this could be. I knew it wasn't a buck. Rutting season is later on in that year, and there are black bears there, but I never heard any commotion like this. Plus it sounded like it was growling. Well, I was freaked out now. My friends and I grew up hunting, fishing, and camping in the woods and are very experienced in the sights and sounds of the woods and all its animals. But I was not familiar with this type of sound or behavior. And as I listened, I could hear it pacing back and forth through the woods next to us. And it seemed to be breaking limbs. And at one point, it made a loud noise like a growl and then a large limb break. I stepped back from the wall and said, "What are we going to do?" One of my friends asked what we should do. "What do you mean?" I said, "What if whatever it is tries to get in here?" And a silence came over all of us as we were all thinking about the same thing. And that thing was protection. We scrambled to find what we had. I had a .38 snub-nose pistol with 5 shells that I always took camping. And we had a few knives, and we had a machete, and we had some long logs from the small wood pile that we had brought inside. So I focused on getting some clothes and boots on, as did everyone else, and all the while the noise had not stopped. And as we were spreading out in the cabin, it eventually stopped. One of my friends thought it was gone. We listened, and I thought to myself, what if it's not in the woods anymore? What if it's closer? One of my friends went to the door that had only a small diamond-shaped window to look down the steps outside on. And I yelled, "Don't open the door." And he yelled back that he was just going to have a look. He looked through the window for a while, And then he asked for a flashlight. So we all gave him one, and he shined it outside for a while, but he didn't see anything. So he asked, "Do you all want to make a run for it? Want to make a run for the four-wheelers?" And I was trying to think exactly how far away they were, about 30 yards from the trail to the logging road. I thought it was a very long walk, especially if that thing was still out there. We listened for a little longer, and all of us were still on edge. Then one of my friends asked, "What is it? A pissed-off bear, you think?" Another friend replied, "I don't know, but I can't stand this. We got to see what it is." I told them I was staying put. I'm waiting for daylight so I can see. 2 flashlights, 2 lanterns, and 1 little gun isn't enough for me. So everyone agreed and sat back down and waited while one friend stayed looking out the door. It had been 10 or 15 minutes since we heard any noise. And then all of a sudden, a big thud on the back side of the cabin, halfway up the wall. We all scrambled to the center and we yelled and cussed, and we were yelling at whatever it was to go away. So at this point, I was pissed and I thought somebody was messing with us. So I ran to the wall where I heard the thud and I banged back on it as hard as I could and yelled, "I've got a gun in here. You better go away or I will shoot." Everyone went quiet to see if we got a response, but we heard nothing. So I put my ear to the wall to see what I could hear, and what I heard still freaks me out today. It sounded like heavy breathing, about waist down from me, and what sounded like hand rubbing against the outside wall like it was trying to find a way in or something. I stepped back and looked at the wall, and it was head level where I was that what sounded like the hand rubbing on the wall came from. And if you were standing outside, that would be almost 12 feet from the ground. As I was thinking about this, one of my friends said, "Did you hear anything?" But I said no. But they all knew I did. So I said we might need to make a run for it, to the four-wheelers, I mean. And we all walked to the door and we got ready. And one of my friends said, "When I open this door, don't stop. Just run and crank them up. It doesn't matter who's driving, just whoever gets there first." And then I said, "Let me shoot a couple of times in the air as we run out." And 2 of them said, "Okay." And the other friend said, "Why, is that thing close?" And I didn't want to say, but I said yes. And at that moment, my friend opened the door. I ran out and shot twice as I ran down the steps. And then I noticed I must have been running slow because I was getting passed up by all my friends. So I sped up and we were at the four-wheelers and they cranked up and we were gone. We had them wide open all the way home. I felt like something was going to snatch me off the back of that thing, so I stayed turned around so I could see behind us. But I didn't see anything. It felt like it took us forever to get back to my house. And at 50 miles per hour, it was probably only 15 minutes until we got to my house, almost 3 in the morning. And I banged on the door until my dad got up. And he was mad, and he asked me, "I thought you were camping." He asked, "What happened?" And I said, "We just wanted to come back here is all." He said, "Where's my cooler and the stuff you took?" I said, "It's all back at the cabin. We'll get it tomorrow." And I never saw him so mad that we just left everything there. But he could see I was upset, so I think that's why he left me alone and went back to bed. Needless to say, we did not sleep. We just talked about what it could have been and what it was doing. And as we talked and fussed about it, our courage was building up as the daylight approached. So we waited till about 8 a.m. and we loaded up some shotguns and rifles and we went back ready for whatever we might have to face. When we got there, everything seemed to be in order. And as we went inside, I went to the back of the cabin and looked up at the wall. As they went inside, I went around to the back of the cabin and looked up at the wall where I had heard that breathing. And it was about 8 feet up. And where I heard the hand rubbing, the wall had to be 12 foot. I looked all over the ground and there were no tracks of any kind. The ground was really hard. But as we searched the woods around the cabin, we did find broken limbs and pulled down limbs from different heights, from different trees at all different heights. The highest was about 9 foot up, and the lowest was about 4 foot low. There were no hairs, no smells, or anything like that, just broken limbs that we found. And we looked for hours, and then we gathered our things and went back home. And we didn't talk about it because we knew people would laugh and make fun of us. So I didn't talk about it again for a few years. It makes a great camping story, of course, but people think you're pulling their leg or just messing with them. I just laugh along. But I did go camping again a year or more later, just not there. I did go back to the cabin a few times to go fishing and arrowhead hunting in the water, but always during the day. And I'm not scared of the woods I grew up around, but I am afraid of what might be in them. So what do I believe it was? I really don't know. I didn't see it. So I try not to think about what it could have been. I just don't take my surroundings lightly anymore. And if there is such a thing as a Bigfoot or whatever out there anywhere, I'm sure as a wild beast or animal, it does not want to be messed with. And that it can be hostile like a bear can be. So y'all please be careful out there. This was from Brian Freeman. Wow, can you all imagine camping in a 1-bedroom little cabin? Got a little fire going and then you hear all this commotion outside. Something is rubbing on the wall trying to find a way in, and you know that spot is 12 foot off the ground? With the growling and whatnot, I would have pissed my pants, I'm telling you what. If you or somebody you know has had a Sasquatch sighting, a Bigfoot encounter, or any story that has to do with Bigfoot and you'd like to have it on the show, just put it in an email and shoot it off to me at skookumreport@gmail.com. That's skookumreport@gmail.com. And I'll be sure to get it up on the show for you. It's not a problem. Don't forget to subscribe, hit that like button, and leave a comment and say hi. I enjoy talking to you guys. I want to send another shout out to Big Mike. He's really been there for me the last few days. And I'm going to try and get a hold of Mary Fabian so we can have part 2 interview of the Pennsylvania Bigfoot Project owner and operator, Mary Fabian. I really enjoyed talking with her during part 1. That was awesome. She has a lot of stories and a lot of knowledge to share. So I'll see you guys next time on the Skookum Report, okay? God bless y'all, and y'all take care and be safe. Bye-bye.